All right, let's talk about the do's and don'ts for Jorge Masvidal. First of all, I feel like he doesn't have to worry about the submissions because his submission game is pretty good. He pretty much showed you against Damian Maia for 3 rounds. Another thing, if you just know him from the aspirin knee, look, he has a lot more weapons than you think. First of all, him and Nate Diaz have a similarity that they both like to use the lead leg as a distraction for them to be able to come forward with that jab. But we got to understand is Jorge Masvidal has a lot of weapons, meaning his kicks are also another weapon in his arsenal. He could use a lot of those kicks in distracting Nate Diaz, and not only distracting him but hurting Nate Diaz. And while he distracts him and with the legs, he could come up and kick him in the head, similar to how he did KJ Noons. But the reason I'm giving you this example because the same thing happened to Nate Diaz when he got knocked out against Thompson. It all started from the leg kicks, and that was actually his only TKO loss. His only knockout loss. But again, Jorge Masvidal has to use his jabs. His jabs is going to be able to set up all his combinations. Another thing that a lot of people don't notice with combinations, he likes to manipulate his opponent's limbs. As you can see here with Darren Till, he manipulates his jabbing hands and comes over with a right hand. But he also does this with kicks. People throw kicks to the body. He's able to use his hand across his body and throw that kick across and come forward with nations or come forward with his own kicks. Another thing he has to worry about is when Nate Diaz pushes him against the fence. But at the same time, he has a lot of weapons because he has knocked out people with his back against the fence with it. So it's hard to pick a person on this fight, but since I'm from 305 Dade County, I gotta go for Jorge Masvidal on the fact that his striking is a lot more better than Nate Diaz when it comes down to his jabs and his straights or any type of combinations. They're very technical and they're very precise. Unlike Nate Diaz, they're kind of slow and you see them coming. Jorge Masvidal, on the other hand, he comes way more precise. Now, you're gonna think, oh, but Nate Diaz is more longer than him and more bigger. Now, this one I want to bring up the Darren Till fight. When Darren Till was fighting Jorge Masvidal, he had problems with that reach, but he was fighting orthodox the whole time. At the end of the fight, like in the ending, right before he knocked him out, he switched to southpaw, and he was able to go through his hands because Darren Till hyperextends his hands. So that's another interesting fact. But Nate Diaz, on the other hand, has a used to people fighting other southpaws, or if he was able to change his stance, Nate Diaz is prepared for that on the fact that Nate Diaz trains with southpaws all the time. Like his brother, for instance, is a southpaw, so he always had for him to fight, and McGregor also was a southpaw. For him to fight orthodox to southpaw does not make a difference. But on the fact that Masvidal has so much weapons and he could do that, and he does not calculate that at the correct time, and he was able to figure out to come over Nate Diaz's jab, for instance, or Nate Diaz likes to put a lot of weight in his front leg. Those are also another weapons open right there, the leg kicks. Nate Diaz, what does he have to offer? I know he has the cardio and he has the heart and he has everything and he has a pace, but I feel like Jorge Masvidal was training the same way. And when it comes down to knockout power, I feel like Jorge Masvidal has found ways to use people's momentum, and he'll come with his own momentum, and that's how he'll knock out a lot of people. So how can he use that against Nate? Nate comes with forward pressure. When you come with forward pressure and you have Jorge Masvidal that comes from different angles, and he also comes with forward pressure and uses your momentum against him, similar to Darren Till. Similar to Darren Till and similar to Ben Askren. Ben Askren was going for a shot. He used that momentum and he just came with that flying knee and just poof. So Nate Diaz, on the other hand, has a chin like nobody has ever seen. So it's like, and Nate Diaz does not let up. So it's like, okay, do you think Masvidal has the power to finish Nate Diaz? And the argument, a lot of people are saying no. But what you got to understand is, Ben Askren never been knocked out. Darren Till was never knocked out until they both met Jorge Masvidal. So just based on these facts, it's just going to be an insane fight. And then people are saying the fight favors Nate Diaz if it's 5 rounds because of the pace and the endurance he does. Now, this is why I feel like, and I've been saying this before, that the fight favors Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal had a lot of controversies before with split decision losses. And a lot of those fights come because they're 3 rounds. So I feel like in 3 rounds, he doesn't have enough time to show you what he has and to be able to lure you in to his traps. So just thinking about that is just insane. Nate Diaz is a beast, though. Nate Diaz, like, all it takes... The thing is, Jorge Masvidal cannot get confident and cannot get comfortable in the cage. Like, he can't get too comfortable. Because Nate Diaz, at any given second, will go 0 to 100 real fast. Now, Nate Diaz does have a lot of things that do put Jorge Masvidal in danger, like his jiu-jitsu. But when people say that's like, if it goes on the ground, it's over with, it's too much. It's pretty much underrating Jorge Masvidal's jiu-jitsu defense on the fact that he fought Damian Maia. And Damian Maia, even though he lost, Damian Maia was on his back the whole time, and Damian Maia wasn't able to submit him. So you see where I'm coming from? So I'm saying, like, when I see more, not only because I'm from Miami, but not only do I see more weapons of Jorge Masvidal utilizing, because another thing you got to understand, he fought bigger people. You got to see a fight against, I think it was Tejeda or Ferreira in the welterweight division when Jorge Masvidal fought in the UFC. He pushed him against the back. He put Jorge Masvidal's back against the fence, similar to how Nate Diaz did to, like, Pettis. But in return, Jorge Masvidal came with an elbow and knocked him out. A lot of people don't know that. So you got to understand that. And he comes with a flow of combinations. His boxing is very precise. You can see that in the Ross Pearson fight also. And also in the Alan Quinto fight, which it was a controversial loss, I feel like. A lot of people also feel like. But, again, this fight is going to be crazy. But Nate Diaz is just a goon. Nate Diaz, you can never count Nate Diaz out. That's the crazy thing about it when it comes down to it. Nate Diaz is just a different type of breed. Nate Diaz is just an animal. And Nate Diaz does not give a fuck. And he's going to come with everything he got. And like he says, it's kill or be killed. And he really means that shit. So he's going to come forward with everything he got. You know, his boxing's good too. His jabs could be good too. It's just, both of them are going to want it. And it's just... This is what makes the fight so difficult. Yeah, when it comes to an aspect of technical weapons and stuff like that, I favor Jorge Masvidal. But when it comes down to who wants it more, now that's the biggest question.
If you like these breakdowns, make sure you look at the other videos that I have and subscribe now to our MMA 420 YouTube channel, now on Instagram at _MMA 420 _. And can't forget, opinions always up for discussion, so don't talk shit.